What's up, everybody, and welcome back into the Play the Fight Song College Football Show. Another big-time episode tonight as we are previewing Week 4. Weeks 1 through 3 are already in the books. I feel like it's moving like lightning speed, gentlemen. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but it feels like it's going quick. I feel like with the 3 straight home games Nebraska's had, it's been so many just like, boom, you're back in Lincoln, then you're back here, and then all of a sudden it's Week 4. We got it happening again. Or you feel like it's moving fast, Jake?
The one who's been to three Nebraska home games already this year.
3 in a row.
Saturdays are definitely pretty busy, I would imagine. I mean, I've been to one, but last weekend had the ability to just sit with my dog and sit my ass on the couch all day until the nightcap, and it was awesome. I needed that reset, but yeah, I do feel like it's Week 4, the Big 12 slate, conference slate's really starting to pick up. So yeah, I do feel like we're moving a little fast.
I know it's time slow down because these are like the premium weeks of college football in my mind, where it's still kind of nice out and you can get out to the game, enjoy the tailgate, not freeze your buns off. But JP, we're back. Week 4. What are you looking for in Week 4 from college football? You think there's going to be some upsets?
The recalibration of teams. Like we thought we know what people are in non-con slates and early games, and then once we get back into the meat of this schedule, we really learn what the team is, and that may be a completely different perception than you had in preseason compared to Week 2, compared to Week 1, compared to now. So I think this is the difference that kind of starts as teams solidify themselves in a spot and teams rebuild and reset themselves into a really good spot. So especially with a 12-team playoff that's been shoved down your throat every single commercial at the start of every single game, just to remind you that there is 12 teams. If you didn't know there's 12 teams in the playoff this year, there's a playoff, there's 12 teams. And so I just wanted to make sure we got that in the SEO, so this people searching 12-team playoff, if they weren't sure, they could find out there's a 12-team playoff.
Yes, there is a 12-team playoff. That's confirmed.
We haven't brought up the fact that what do we get? Don't we get a 14 team in 2 years? Is that right?
Yeah, I think I have heard people stop talking about that. Yeah, but I am almost 99% sure that is actually the case. I think it's 2 years away. Like they're going to 14.
It's happening. I just don't know when it's happening. I remember when they set the timetable for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're going to change. It'll probably be 16 teams by the time they go to 14. All of a sudden, I mean, we're talking about the college football playoff here, SEO. We're talking about the 12-team college football playoff. But all right, we are rolling into Week 4 previews because the conference slate starts for most this week. Let's lead it off in Memorial Stadium on Friday night. I will be in attendance. My fan perspective is live today, so it's already out. If you want to go listen to my thoughts on this game, go check it out on our channel. Hit the like button on that. Drop a score prediction because I am giving away a free No Rivals hat on me, and you can get a great looking cap like this. But before I go to the gentleman on this, let's talk about No Rivals. Shop No Rivals, a great partner of ours. Unique designs, unique styles. They're dropping new teams day by day. If they don't have your team on there yet, don't worry. Go to the teams button, drop down. There's a request to your team all the way at the bottom. Put your team in. Hopefully they'll add them soon, and you get some new swag on us, and you can get free shipping on that swag with code PTFS. So check out our partners at No Rivals today. Shout out for the Clean Game Day Collection cap. Got the mean green underneath the bill, but this is just a clean look, gentlemen. A little breathability back here.
Yep.
Still the gloss logo. So shout out to our great partners over there. All right, back to the game. Illinois, Nebraska, a ranked matchup in Lincoln for the first time in a very long time. This is 7 p.m. on Fox College Football Friday. We're playing high school ball. Nebraska's an 8.5-point favorite. I've seen that swing anywhere from 8 to 10.
I've
Might be 7.5. Yeah, 7.5 floating around out there. So it's being bet down. JP, I'll let you open up your thoughts with the Big Ten guy in mind.
This one is a little bit different because I feel like people are really feeling good about both teams and where they are in this situation. I think looking at the team and maybe not the teams they've beaten, people still feel good about it, right? Like Illinois has the Kansas win and then Kansas loses to UNLV, which I think UNLV is still solid, if one of the better G5s in the country. So it's not that big of a knock. It's a G5 loss nonetheless. Nebraska beat the tar out of Colorado. We don't know if Colorado's all that good, but they've also done what they needed to against the other opponents that they've got on the schedule. So here's your first bow up and really find out which one is the team you should be most impressed with. The problem here is I don't know if Illinois it's tougher for Illinois to get thrown into this situation than it is 11 a.m. or 2:30 on a Saturday. The standalone Friday night is a little bit different in Lincoln than it is at 11 a.m. with all the other games on a Saturday. So I think there's a difference there. I think Bielema will have guys ready to go. I don't think Bielema's ever had teams quit on him or anything like that. So I'm not saying that this team's going to go in there and just lay an egg, but I'm also not worried about Nebraska coming out slow. I think there's both teams come out fast, come out quick. It's just who can land the biggest punch first and who gets going down. I feel like Illinois has done a way better job offensively than we thought. Altmaier's been really good. Zachary Franklin's been really good. This line's been better. The defense we know has holes in it. It's just who can attack them, because Kansas apparently wasn't able to do that, right? Like there's teams that have found ways to stay in games with Illinois. Illinois can play the up-tempo stuff. I think they can slow things down as well. What does Nebraska want to do? Because Nebraska, I feel like, is more wanting to dictate the tempo and how they want to handle things, and they're also more stout defensively. So if they can handle the defensive side of the ball and control the clock on the offensive side, and maybe that is a 7-minute drive. Maybe that is a 2-minute drive with a big play in between. I think they're fine with either one of those, but they would like to dictate the way this game's played. Illinois is going to play a little more chameleon. Quarterback at matchup. Altmaier hasn't been the greatest quarterback in his time at Illinois, but he's been good and he's shown real flashes. Obviously, Raiola has been good in his stints. We've also have yet to see him in Big Ten play. And I think this is a good Big Ten one to get to start the year. We're getting Illinois at home. We're not getting Michigan on the road, or we're not getting Washington on the road, or we're getting them Friday night at home, and it's Illinois. So I think the secondary has holes in it for Illinois that can be exposed. Nobody's been able to do that yet. Line of scrimmage. Can Nebraska run the football well and complement Raiola and make sure he doesn't have to make all the plays? I think that's something to really pay attention to when you kind of looked at a lot of the Big Ten guys on their thoughts on Illinois. It was like, okay, well, the scheme didn't work last year because you didn't have the guys on the back end. Now we don't know if you do, but you've definitely shown the ability to be better up in the front seven. So can Nebraska complement Raiola and make sure he doesn't feel like he needs to do everything by himself? Can Illinois make sure that they got to stay upright with Altmaier? They got to have their big players get the ball in space and not just feel like they're blanketed behind the sticks the entire time. Don't beat yourself. So those are two big things. And that's like a vanilla very takeaway, but these teams are at their core pretty vanilla. They want to be in their identity. They want to be who they are. They don't want to do anything too crazy and play some sloppy, crazy stuff. Like these are two teams that want to stay within themselves. So it can be very vanilla and still be a very good football game. I'm
not hearing anything I disagree with. Jake, any thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I was going to actually tweet this out last night, but I decided not to. I'll wait for the podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, can you see this? Hold on quick. It's the Spider-Man meme
on paper, sure,
where they're both pointing at each other. I mean, It does feel like from an outsider's perspective that these are two pretty similar teams. I think offensively, they both have efficient quarterbacks who in Raiola's young career doesn't do a ton yet. Obviously, he has a huge ceiling to meet, but they're kind of the same in him and Altmaier right now as far as capabilities. They love multiple running backs, probably 2, maybe 3. Both teams have multiple running backs that they rely on.
Yep.
Couple of decent receivers. They got the Banks kid for Nebraska. Franklin's been good for Illinois.
Pat Bryant.
And Pat Bryant as well. Good point. Good call. And then schedule-wise, it's even kind of funny. They both played, at least at this point, 2 mediocre Big 12 teams, an FCS opponent and a bad FBS opponent. So we're going to find out something about one of these teams Friday night. I think it helps out a ton that you have a young quarterback in Raiola who plays his first Big Ten game at home on a Friday night. We obviously know it's going to be a sellout, and home field advantage is going to be a huge thing for them. So I think that's a huge deal for his first game in the Big Ten.
A couple pieces of note for the college football world, maybe not floating around in big news, is it is the 400 sellout Memorial Stadium. So I'm sure there's some special stuff going on for that. It should be a great atmosphere. I really don't think it being on a Friday is going to hinder Nebraska's fandom at all. I think it'll be more similar to Colorado than people realize when it comes to an atmosphere, because it's hard to be they're at their peak right now from what they've been, which is true. But it's still you're almost hungry for more until we get to that point where it's consistent, especially in this spot. I think the turnover game is huge in this game. I'll just say that shortly. I think when Illinois found success this year, they made Kansas turn it over 3 times.
Yep.
Central Michigan turned it over twice. But they're very
Nebraska
vanilla.
did to Colorado.
Yep. The pick 6 was huge. So turnover is going to be the name of the game here. Altmaier is really good at extending plays. I forgot until I did the research for my preview that Altmaier was an Ole Miss transfer. That feels like light years ago. Isn't that insane that we're looking at an Ole Miss transfer and then they're outside. Then they bring in another one from Zachary Franklin, who might be one of the more talented and athletic receivers within the Big Ten. It's looking like for that squad. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup. I don't want to go too far into depth because I did that in my 20-minute long video on our channel. So check that out. But let's go roundtable style. prediction time. Jake, I'm leaving it off with you. Predictions: who wins, who covers?
Man, I don't really. It is crazy that this line keeps coming down. I'm not really sure what that exactly means. I'm gonna say Nebraska wins, but Illinois covers. So give me maybe a 3-point win. Let's say 21-24, Nebraska.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. Jake, JP.
I'm right around that number. I think it's a similar thing. I don't think Bielema's a team that's going to get blown out. I think Nebraska will have its growing pains and be in this first Big Ten one the same way Illinois is going to deal with those growing pains, like getting into this conference slate. So two teams that have an identity, again, that Jake said are very similar to themselves. They both play within themselves, both have coaches who don't beat themselves. It just screams close, tight one to me. He said 24-21. I mean, I could see the exact same thing. I'll go 27-24. Let's make it a little more explosive. Nebraska wins this.
Get a couple of field goals.
We can't pick a Big Ten game like this and not have field goals kicked.
Yeah, field goals will be big.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because I was going to talk about Nebraska's special teams coordination has not been fantastic this year, especially when it comes to the field goal game. Snaps have been rough, so it's a work in progress. I hope it doesn't come down to that, because Illinois is pristine. They have two really good kickers, one that's very consistent from 40 and in, and they have a deep ball guy that hit a 59-yarder last week against Central Michigan. So if it does come down to that, I think the score predictions that these guys have are very close. Mine on my channel was 27-19, so I also have Illinois covering the number, but I think it's a little bit more separated. I think 12 of those Illinois points are field goals. I really do. That's just kind of Nebraska's defensive identity this year is bend, don't break. They let all the teams get down there and they try and hold them to 3. So
can I ask, I know you did a whole thing, Parks, but I want to answer the question, like, why? I guess I can't speak on behalf of either team. I haven't watched either team an absolute ton, but this seems like the line should be more at 6.5 than it is over a touchdown. Should Nebraska really be more than a touchdown favorite on Illinois at this early point in the season? Try to be unbiased as you can.
I think it would be 6.5 if it on a neutral site. Like, I literally think that 2 points is it being a road game for Illinois. Like, I don't see it anywhere past that. I would, if it was 6.5 right now, I would not be like shocked. I wouldn't say it's incorrect. Like, when you get down in that 2 or 3 range, like that's when you can be like, maybe that's a number you should take for Nebraska. But I think it's fine in this spot. I can completely understand why Illinois is being bet. I mean, shit, I just took them against the spread. But both of these teams, I think Nebraska's 3-0 against the spread, and Illinois is 2-0-1, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they did push against Central Michigan. I think you're right.
Yeah, so both teams looking to extend their spread wins. I think Illinois does it, though. That'd be my honest opinion. But as long as we all got Nebraska winning, it'll be a good Friday for me, and then I can finally enjoy some college football on my couch Saturday. But that is game one. Let's move it down the line. Let's go to Tennessee and Oklahoma. Obviously, this is a huge matchup, college game day in town. Tennessee's offense has been explosive as can be, and Oklahoma found some footing last week. Jackson Arnold looked good against a good Tulane team. Well, he looked all right. He was our leading rusher, Jake. This Big 12 guy. Every time I bring up another Big 12 quarterback, JP, you see the looks I get.
Yeah.
He's not. Well, Jackson Arnold's not a Big 12 quarterback, so.
Oh, God. You know you still have that little fuming hatred for him, too. That little bias, that Iowa State bias comes out of you a little bit, which I respect. But, JP, I'm going to go to you on this one to break it down first. What do you think in this matchup?
This one I have for a later segment we'll do in this show. But there are things in this game that do make me think it's not giving me the same vibes as NC State. I'll go out and say
wait a second.
What?
This isn't your play of the week, right? Tennessee minus the 7?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to clear that up because I think Jake and I have the same pick and we're just discovering it, but I'm just throwing that out there. Go ahead, JP. Sorry.
Mine is not. I think this doesn't scream the same as the NC State game. Like, I understand Oklahoma's had its issues and things, and there are some glaring problems that Tennessee can take advantage of. Tennessee is able to get pressure without bringing pressure. Like, they don't have to bring a fifth, a sixth. They don't have to do that. The tackles for Oklahoma struggled. They struggled staying healthy even. What does that tell me, though? Like, that tells me that Tennessee may try and make Arnold beat them through the air nonstop without bringing pressure and just bring Pierce and bring guys off the edge. But at the same time, like, Arnold can't be your leading rusher. You have to find a way to get the rest of these running backs. I mean, between Sawchuk and Barnes and all these other guys, the guys got to get involved. Like, we have to find a way to run the football. And I think Oklahoma it knows this is like an oh shit moment, like the world's like picking against us. Feels like if I'm Oklahoma, I don't think the pressure is that much. Like I feel like I've seen articles that are like, is this a must win for Venables in Oklahoma? No, I mean I don't feel like it is. I feel like you can kind of go into this one with nothing to lose. Tennessee's the one.
I think it's a
everybody's
must show
drooling
up.
over.
I think
Well,
you
that's
got
what
to
I'm
show
saying.
up
Like
at
show
least.
up, but like you don't have to win. And I feel like they will show up. I feel like the defense has an opportunity here to really to stifle a Tennessee team that hasn't had even a 2x4 put in front of them, right? We saw like 10-3 going into half, and then a pick 6 late with NC State. Turns out that goes the other way. It's 17-3, and that was about the end of that one. Oklahoma, I feel like, is going to have the ability to slow down that offense. I know and I understand what Nico brings to that offense with the ability to throw the football downfield on a rope and then get outside the pocket and make gains with his legs. But I'm not sold that running game is just going to be able to go all over Oklahoma and those linebackers in the defensive front and just stifle this thing. Like I feel like there's an opportunity for Oklahoma to stay in this defensively and play it really smart, as long as you're not giving the ball away and you're not constantly behind the sticks offensively. So I do think Oklahoma stays close here. I think this stays close. I think if I look at this from 10,000 feet without reading anything, just my observations on everything, Oklahoma is better than perceived. Tennessee hasn't had a reality check yet and hasn't been pushed the wrong way quite yet. What happens when that first happens on the road, game 1 in the SEC? When Oklahoma will be ready for it and the whole place will be ready for it. What happens then? So that's why I kind of take this one.
I can kind of see that the same way. I think one of the main things I heard that you said that it was my entire note is Oklahoma, you have to slow this game down. Keep Tennessee's offense off the field because Nico will burn you. As you give him more opportunities than not, he's going to burn you. And then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself in a game that you cannot keep up with this Tennessee offense. You can see in the press conferences throughout the week, the confidence Heupel has in this offense and just them as a unit. They have weapons on the outside that are performing. And Nico is such an elite quarterback that everything runs through him, and that's fine. They can solely base their offense off of that. Jackson Arnold needs to get going in the run game again. Had a couple of rushing touchdowns against Tulane, but he needs to extend plays with his legs, run, take 5 when he can get them. As anything you can do to keep that offense on the field and keep Tennessee off of it, that's when Oklahoma's going to find themselves in a good spot. Jake.
Yeah, Jackson Arnold, you're right, JP. He has been their best rusher, and that's not a good thing. Like Sawchuk and Barnes have both been just average, and I think that has something to do with the offensive line being a little banged up right now. But I think Tennessee is personally the last team you want to see with a banged up offensive line, because I think they have an underrated defensive line in one of the best, top 5 in all of college football. It's just, I know Oklahoma's defense is really good. I know that that's going to keep them in football games all season long, but there's a lot of question marks offensively with that football team that I just don't know if they can keep up on against this Tennessee offense. Like you look at the receivers, you got Dante Thornton, Squirrel Wright, Brew McCoy, Chris Brazzell. Oklahoma has Burks right now. Like I know they have a bunch of other guys, but haven't been playing statistically. They're not, keeping up. So you just have Burks. You have no running game. Your offensive line's hurt. Your tight ends are eh. And I saw a stat because I was watching the Tulane game last weekend, and ESPN pulls up a stat. Like Jackson Arnold's like when he's faced with pressure, however you want to say that. I don't know exactly what they categorize as just pressure, but when he's under pressure, Jackson Arnold's 6 for 16 with 1 pick. So he's throwing much less than 50%. He's going to face as much pressure as he has seen all year yet. Houston's defense is okay. Temple was really bad. I think Tulane was fine, more so offensively. What I saw Oklahoma defensively against Tulane's offense was more impressive to me, but I see that home field being a huge advantage for them. I see that place coming out on fire. The defense feeds off of that for Oklahoma. They give them a couple of punches in the first half. I just don't know if the offense has enough to keep up in the second half and maybe cover this number. Awesome linebacker matchup, though. You got Danny Betzman on one side. You got Keenan Pili, the 26-year-old. I think he's a BYU transfer on the other side for Tennessee. Shocker. He's really good in the middle, too. So, yeah, awesome game. We're going to see this Saturday.
The SEC opener for Oklahoma and their time in the conference. I think if there's anybody that's going to have a team ready to go defensively for an offensive unit like Tennessee, it might be Brett Venables. If you don't remember, they had multiple elite defenses at Clemson. That was one of the reasons they brought him into this Oklahoma team. So it could be a game here. JP, you think it's going to be? Let's start it off roundtable style. Score predictions. Who wins? Who covers?
I think this number is around 60 on the total, something like that. I think Tennessee wins, but I think it's close. I really do think Oklahoma comes out knowing that they have to show something here and really figure something out, or it's going to be a long day, and they understand that. So I'm not going to, go against them in that situation. I think this one's like 27-24, somewhere in there. Like I said the same thing in the Nebraska game. Like I just don't see this one getting into the 30s for both teams. I don't see Oklahoma like slowing it down completely, but finding a way to just stay in this darn thing, right? Like you said, Venables against Heupel. Scheme versus scheme, man. The guys that are best of the best. Like, let's see it, and let's see who can confuse the other guy first.
Yeah, I'm on a little bit of a different page. I do not know if Oklahoma can handle this Tennessee defensive front enough to keep this game close. I think Nico's going to hurt him with extended plays because he's not going to be running a ton. But this Oklahoma defense has been pretty solid. They haven't played, obviously, great competition. But the way this offense that Tennessee is running and the confidence they're running with right now, they don't give a shit about the people in Norman. Give me Tennessee 45-21 on the road. They're going to keep it rolling. That's an absolute blowout, I know, but there's too much offensive firepower and too much pressure they're going to put on Jackson Arnold. He'll make his mistakes. Jake.
I thought I had a lot of confidence in this pick. Apparently not as much as you, Parks. I like the under in this game. I do think this is, if it's in the 60s, I think this has got a chance to be under. Like I said, I can see it being like the NC State game and Tennessee comes out a little slow. You're right, JP. This is not NC State. But offensively, again, I just think Oklahoma's got a lot of disadvantages, kind of like what we saw in Grayson McCall at NC State a couple of weeks ago. That being said, 31-21, give me Tennessee. I think they pull away and cover late.
I don't know if a 10-point win is pulling away, but I'll give it to you. So we got 2 on Tennessee to cover, and JP is on Oklahoma. I don't know where Reese is at. I think he is going to include these somehow, some way. Hopefully he'll text us, but he is off tonight. I didn't mention him, but we miss you, Reese. But all right, that is Tennessee and Oklahoma. Obviously a big matchup, college game day in town, and the SEC opener for the Sooners. So we'll see if they can pull one out against a very highly ranked.
I'm not confident in Oklahoma covering. I'm picking the home team getting the points in a spot they got to show up. So this could be like a 27-17, 20.
That's the old cover your ass little.
I have a feeling
I'm not confident in that number. The spread.
I have a feeling JP's doing us a solid and making sure we're not unanimous Tennessee on this pick.
Oh, I can only imagine Reese.
I don't need to do any solid.
Reese is
I'm back in this race.
No, I know you are. But Reese is definitely on Tennessee. I just know it.
Has to be. But all right, that is that one. Let's keep it moving. Let's go back to the Big Ten. Let's talk a little USC. Let's talk a little Michigan. Alex Orji named the starter earlier this week from reports. Obviously, we'll know as soon as they take the field. So a quarterback change for the Blue, who are looking to make some, any bit of damage on offense. They haven't blown anybody out of the water yet. Got handled by Texas, gave up a ton of points. Here comes a Lincoln Riley offense that can hurt you through many different ways. JP, break this one down for us.
Hey, how about a chance for USC? A game that could have been scary. Like if we're looking at this in July and August, we're like, oh, Michigan's going to be good again. Like just remember they lost guys, but it doesn't matter. Hey, now you're feeling a little vulnerable. Trojans feeling confident after a win over LSU, then Utah State, a bye. Now we got to roll into the big house. The big thing for me here is how good is Miller Moss, right? Like we're starting to see that LSU's defense maybe wasn't. I mean, we knew it wasn't going to be great, but we're kind of seeing anybody and everybody can tear that thing apart. The way Lenore Sellers was able to use his leg, Rocket Sanders was using his legs, the way they beat him through the air. Miller Moss is not going to do it with the legs the same way Lenore Sellers is, but I can guarantee you that his weapons are better on the outside and he's got a better arm. So what I'm worried about here is Michigan has good DBs, but when the scheme is just that good and the guys are that good and the game is controlled that much, can Michigan stay in it? Because you'll watch Texas just walk down the field on them with a perfect scheme, all drawn up, and stayed on them on the ground. And if the defense is on the field that long, it doesn't matter how good the defense is. They're going to tire out. It's going to get tough on them. I'm not saying USC is some physical dominance like Texas is, but there are worries here for Michigan. USC, I think we need to find out. This is your first bow up and find out if you're ready for the Big Ten test. I don't think the LSU one's really going to do anything for us when we look back in time on how they played. Like they played really well. Like they played better defensively. They looked much more put together. They were in the correct spots. They made the correct plays. Now this, I think LSU's offense brings more problems, but they're not as physical on the outsides. I think they have the better offensive line than Michigan does. That's a worry. They have a better passing game. the run game here for Michigan is like, hey, Donovan Edwards, are you there? Like, hello. I just want to make sure that we can still run the football here because nobody's been able to run the ball with Michigan. Like, Orgy's in, like, does our identity change? Just become a very run first offense with play action built in off of it? Is it get him out of the pocket and let him make plays? Because things haven't been working and now we switched guys. Are we going to change the way we're playing football now on the offensive side of the ball? I think USC's got a chance here to make a statement, and I'm not super high on them quite yet. I just want to see a little bit more. But I think this is more of a statement than beating LSU at Vegas if you go into the big house and get Michigan.
Shocker, shocker. We're asking about the Michigan offense once again in another week of the 2024 college football season. Can you get Alex Orgy going through the air? There's a reason you didn't start him in the first place. That's what you're asking of him against this USC defense. You saw Nussmeier hurt them early in week 1 with LSU. They have holes there, but can Alex Orgy throw it enough consistently to keep Michigan in this game? You know USC is going to get theirs. I think they got to get a couple of guys going on the outside. Obviously, Michigan's defense is still decently stout. They got beat by a very good scheme, like JP said, against Texas. You got to scheme up something similar for guys like Lake McCree, Kyron Hudson, and get Zachariah Branch some opportunities on the outside, get some early blocking out there because you do have a really good secondary still here at Michigan. So it'll be interesting to see the matchups that Lincoln Riley creates against this Michigan defense. Jake, your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, we kind of took away from the LSU USC game that, well, we've kind of found out 3 weeks later that LSU's defense maybe really isn't that good. But what I think still stands true is that LSU's offense is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought USC held them pretty well. I mean, they're going to see half the team offensively that they will have in Ann Arbor with Alex Orgy under center for Michigan on Saturday. So I kind of trust this defense, at least to this point, because from what I've seen from Michigan, is pretty much absolutely nothing. You're going to need another 200 game from Khalil Mullings, who's, like you said, JP, you're knocking on the door waiting for Donovan Edwards, and Mullings is the one who answers the door because apparently Edwards is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
I just think that I trust this USC defense. I think they tackle much better, which is going to translate really well against this run-heavy Michigan offense. And they can tackle Orgy when he tries to get out in space because he's going to want to rely on his legs first, pass second. And then, like the Texas game, another great play caller in Lincoln Riley. I trust him to scheme up enough stuff to, I don't know. I think getting 24 to 27 points on this Michigan defense is definitely possible. And to the Michigan offense, trying to keep up with that at this point seems impossible. So that's kind of the way I see this game and going in Ann Arbor on Saturday.
Absolutely a huge chance for Lincoln Riley's team to open up Big Ten play, their first game within the conference. Let's go roundtable style, give our score predictions. I'll kick it off first. Funny you said 27, Jake. I got USC in this one, 27-17 in the big house. Little bit of a statement there, but I like USC to cover and win on the road against this Michigan offense. That's as simple as it can be. JP.
Yeah, I mean, Jake makes a great point with like, okay, even if USC's defense isn't that much stouter than it was a season ago, if you don't challenge them with anything and you just run the ball between tackles and have nothing downfield, they'll find a way. Deontay Land's going to put guys in a position to succeed, and their athletes are too talented. And I think we've seen that here. I think USC finds a way to just pull away with this. I think Michigan's got bigger fish to fry. I wasn't high on them preseason. I haven't been high on them all year. I'm not going to start now. I think this is 31-17, 31-14, somewhere in there. I just don't see how you stick around in this one if you have this big of an identity problem and this big of a problem at quarterback right now for Michigan. Defense can still be really good the whole game, but if you're on the field for 70% of the game, it ain't going to matter.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if we're going to get a Davis Warren package at least a few times.
Yeah.
Like once you can't establish the run,
we'll get Davis Warren in the game.
You have to, right? Because
you will see Davis Warren in the game.
What's your sole reason to not start Orgy in the first place? Well, he can't throw. Well, you guys haven't been running very well.
You
So
weren't
I don't know why
throwing it
you're
anyway.
maybe.
Yeah.
So that's a huge problem. Jake, your score prediction: who wins? Who covers?
Yeah, as somebody who had USC finishing top 5 in this league in the preseason, speaking with my chest up a little bit with this pick, you stole my 27-17 pick there, Park. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Michigan the benefit of the doubt on defense. USC's still going to cover. Give me 24-14.
I like
USC
that.
wins and covers.
I could see that. So we all got them around the same range, 14 to 17 in Michigan terms, and then USC just rolling on the road. We'll see if Reese can save us on the ATS board. If not,
Don't
we're
need
all
him.
riding with the Trojans. We've won a few of those this year. It hasn't been as nearly as
I don't
bad
think
in
we
the
need
past.
him here. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, that's a lot of confidence. I like that.
Yeah,
All right.
unnecessary confidence. Put him in.
That is USC
Love
and
it.
Michigan. Let's pause. Let's give the viewers a break to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're nearing 540 subscribers. Let's get to 1,000 people. We got 1.3 of you on Twitter right now. If you just clicked on the video, just head to our YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 1,000 on there. Follow us on all platforms, but YouTube's got exclusive content. Jake's Big 12 show somewhere in the middle is live on there right now. The last 2 weeks, his new show for this week will go live on Friday. So give that a look. All of our fan perspectives are YouTube exclusives. So hit the subscribe button and keep up with those throughout the college football season. All right. With that, let's move it back to the ACC. We finally get to talk somewhere outside of the SEC and Big Ten. Let's talk Georgia Tech. Let's talk Louisville. Jake, take us through this matchup.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton on this, but I feel like it should be highlighted because it is one of the it feels like one of the bigger games of the weekend, especially with Louisville kind of in, do I dare say, a trap spot right now, with the
I
trip to
think they're
South
so
Bend.
far under the radar, dude. Like
They
nobody's
are.
paying attention to them.
They are, exactly. But it's almost like we're looking at the score Saturday night and all of a sudden they lost at home to Georgia Tech. And you're like, what the hell happened to Louisville?
Yeah.
But we've only seen them twice this year against Jacksonville State. And I can't even remember the other one. Maybe
Austin
Murray
P.
State. There you go. One of those Ohio Valley schools.
Governors.
Yep. So nobody knows what to expect from Louisville. And like I said, with a trip to South Bend next week, we really want to find out something about this team. One thing that's been for sure is if Tyler Shuck's healthy, he's good enough to lead this team to be an ACC contender. I really believe that. But the question is if he's healthy. So we'll get a first look at really Tyler Shuck in a Cardinal uniform this weekend. That's really exciting. We've seen Georgia Tech now 4 times this year. This team's played more than anybody else in college football. So I think we
big
know
spots. Yeah.
Yeah. We know what we're going to get out of Georgia Tech, a team that was vulnerable through the air when they did see a passing attack in Syracuse. So Tyler Shuck could have a big day if the offense is clicking right and they can get back on the right track. Both teams are coming off buys. And I just think in this one, I'm just more so it's kind of like you want to watch this game to get a true feel for what these two teams could bring to the ACC. I know Clemson's leading it right now. Miami, those are your two top dogs in this conference to win it all. But Louisville's an easy third place right now, trailing right behind them. And Georgia Tech, maybe Georgia Tech is enough to pull this one up off the road. So
it's interesting when you look at Georgia Tech because, they beat a Florida State team that's in the top 10 at the time. And then everybody kind of gets high on them. Things are rolling in Atlanta. It gets loud. They beat a bad Georgia State team. I think it was Georgia State or Georgia. I can't remember which Georgia team it was.
Georgia State.
Okay, yeah. So they beat Georgia State at home. Then they get they're ranked even higher. They roll into Syracuse, and they kind of get they look good. They just got beat towards the end of the game. Kyle McCord was really good. But what happened in that game to beat Georgia Tech? Well, they didn't do what they did the other 2 games, and that's get to the quarterback. You look back at that Syracuse game, they only got to McCord 1 time. He threw the ball almost 50 times. That's going to be the key to the game. For Georgia Tech to stay in this game, maybe sneak one out against this sneakily in the national spotlight Louisville team. I think you guys are perfect on the money there. I was like, oh, Louisville, we get to talk about them finally. Wait, they're ranked 19th? Like, that's just kind of the spot they've been in. Like, they're just
hanging out,
sliding under the rug in the middle of that mix. And they're also ranked in ours, I believe, somewhere in the early 20s. But Tyler Shuck, you had mentioned it, Jake. You get to him. It's a guy that does have injuries in his past. I'm not saying Georgia Tech injured their quarterback, but it's a guy who maybe doesn't move as well as he used to. So getting to the quarterback, if you're Georgia Tech, forcing sacks, forcing him into situations maybe I don't want to say he hasn't seen because he has so much experience, is a plus for you in this game. I think that's the main key for Georgia Tech to maybe compete and pull one out and upset on the road here and get back into the national rankings if you're the Yellow Jackets. JP.
Yeah, I think if you look at Louisville and what they're doing, Shucks seems like he's going to be better than Plummer. Now, again, we saw Plummer flash early last year. I think the difference maybe with this Louisville team than the one last year is that last year was a very two-headed monster. Jamari Thrash, right, and Jawar Jordan. You had the back, you had the receiver, get them the football at all costs. Plummer wasn't going to do anything special. Now, Shuck brings you the ability to run with his legs. They've split carries. I mean, I'm looking at the kind of the stats and everything's laid out. It's like 10 to 15 carries for the top 3 backs. They are getting different guys. The football, it's by committee. They have Ja'Cory Brown on the outside at receiver, who is kind of now your Jamari Thrash on the outside. Ja'Cory Brooks, sorry.
No, I got you.
It just seems like they have a guy there now, like in the same spot, and they've got a better feel for who they are, and they have the ability to run the scheme that Brown wants to run a little bit better. So I think that's why people are like kind of like, hey, watch out. Like they're playing really good football, even though they haven't played anybody. Haynes King, Jamal Haynes, and this offense can score on anybody. I feel like they have the ability to. It's can you stay within yourself within that offense, and Haynes King doesn't just throw the football around trying to make plays he doesn't need to, because they like their offensive line. I think Louisville's defense is going to get challenged for the first time this year. We're going to see how good they are because they were stout a season ago. How much I just feel like Georgia Tech really needs to like reset themselves because they haven't had a break yet. There's no bye week through all of this. Like, here we go again, another chance to prove yourself on the road. Like, let's bow up a little bit and let's kind of go to work if you're Brent Key and this team. So I'm excited for this one. Like, this is the kind of college football fandom I am. Like, we're middle of the pack ACC. We need to find out who these two teams are. I think this is perfect. This is exactly why I love the sport. I feel like these games need to get a little more hype around them.
2 notes for both coaches. One, we talk about it with Bielema. We talk about it with guys like Dorn. Jeff Brom's a guy that has his team ready to play in games like this. Like his team's always going to be prepared. Doesn't matter if they're at home or on the road. That's just kind of the coach he is. They got beat in that hangover spot last year against a really bad Pitt team. I think they avoid that this year. But on the other side, let's take a look at the absolute assassin Brent Key is when it comes to ranked teams. Bad news, Louisville. That's a number next to your name. So I'll open up the round table scoring predictions. Give me Georgia Tech 31-28 on the road to upset Louisville. I got to believe my boy Brent Key. Ranked teams on the road, that's Georgia Tech's spot. Jake.
Yeah, I think it's close, and I like what Georgia Tech's going to bring offensively to keep up with this team. It's a good test for Louisville and the defense that could be a good defense this year, but we're going to have to wait and find out. Give me 34-31 Cards. Georgia Tech covers.
All right. 2 Georgia Techs on the board. JP, you going to ride with us?
Yeah, I want to give a little shout out to this stadium too. It is much larger.
Oh yeah, JP has been there.
Yeah.
We have boots on the ground.
It was really cool. Like from the outside, it doesn't look like as much of a palace, but you get, onto the turf and kind of looking up at it. It's a lot more cool than you think.
Is it Papa John's Field or what?
No, it says right there.
L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium.
Let me just say it doesn't roll off the tongue. I don't know what they call it for short, but it's not the KFC Yup Center. But it is really cool. It's a really nice stadium to go check out, and the campus is really pretty. But
great midfield logo, and they got the Cards helmets on. I don't know if that impacts your decision. They have the full Cardinal Heisman Pose helmets on this weekend.
Okay, those are good ones. My favorite one I actually have up here. It's the all white with the metallic red face mask and the metallic red outline exactly Cardinal. That's my favorite one. I'm going to go with Louisville here, but this is close. I mean, I'm right with you guys. Like, I think this one's like 34-27. Like, I just think.
Well, then
you're
covering.
Yeah,
we're going to win the game. Tech to cover.
Yeah.
All right.
I just think there's too much there. I think the offense is like worth respecting for Georgia Tech, and they know they got it. They can't lay an egg here on the road again. We can't have another meltdown like we did at the Cuse. But I think with your first challenge of the year, Louisville is going to have some growing pains and maybe get hit in the mouth a couple times and have to respond.
Reese, we need you, buddy. We don't need you, but it would be nice to throw maybe a Louisville logo up there.
We're going to tell him all of our
like it's 10. Like that's.
I doubt he'll see him.
I doubt he'll tell him all of our picks before he makes his.
He might be listening. Actually, he's not on the field. He ain't listening.
Granted, I know Georgia Tech's played 5 games, but we're probably going to see Haynes King. We're definitely going to see Haynes King go over 1,000 yards already, and it's week 5. So
I think they've played.
They're 3-1.
3-1.
They haven't had a bye. Yeah. They played 5 straight weeks, including week 0.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's a lot of college football for this team. They need a bye.
They're ready for a bye.
Yeah, I think they are too. And then Louisville only played 2. They've already had a bye. So this is a weird spot for the ACC. This should be a night game, by the way. This is a bad one.
It does scream ACC at night.
Yeah, it does. That like 6:30 slot on ESPN2 ACC game. That's what I'm thinking too. But all right, we all 3 have Georgia Tech on the ATS board. We have Louisville winning from JP and Jake. I have Georgia Tech upsetting Louisville on the road. So that is the picks. Let's move it down to the last game we have to break down tonight. Utah and Oklahoma State. Boy, oh boy, is this a treat for Big 12 fans. This is going to be rocking in Boone Pickens Stadium. Unfortunately, it's not a night game. 3 p.m. kickoff, not even a 2:30 slate. So this is a really weird spot on
What's going
spots, in
on?
my
Why are we
opinion.
doing this?
I don't know why we
doing
do
this?
stupid stuff. That's like Black Friday, Iowa, Nebraska, the 1 p.m. kick or whatever they do, some weird time like that. But all right, Jake, break this one down.
Yeah, you guys get a sneak peek on basically my pick and prediction here before my actual show. So excited to kind of dive into this one. I think the night game in Boone Pickens really does kind of change my mind on this prediction. I think I might lean a different way if it were a night game, if you kind of catch my drift there. Cam Rising's expected to play. I would imagine that because if you've watched the line for this game since Sunday, it was Okie State was a 3-point favorite. Now it's swung to Utah's favored by 2.5 or 3. So still kind of almost a pick 'em, but now it's leaning more towards Utah on the money side. Alan Bowman's been pretty good. Like we're going to see 2 30-year-old quarterbacks really duel this out. And I'm kind of excited to watch these two really go head to head because it is going to be good.
We are a few years away from both of these quarterbacks signing up for like good 401ks that they're building. Like they need to have like those accounts rolling. Both of these quarterbacks. Go ahead.
Well, with Bowman playing so well, he really hasn't gotten any help from his running back. Now, is that on Ollie Gordon? I don't think so. I think the offensive line has been vastly disappointing, and I think Oklahoma State fans would agree there. But he rushed for 41 yards on Tulsa last week. I don't know if you guys have had eyes on Tulsa. You probably haven't, and for good reason. This is one of the worst teams in all of college football, man. They are bad, and he just couldn't get off the line. He's getting hit at the line. And he just hasn't got going. Now, on the bright side, it did take him till like the end of September to really get on his 100, 150, 200-yard game streak that he was really on. So maybe this is the game where he breaks through. But, man, I think he is going to have a challenge in front of him because this Utah defense is good each and every single year. They rank 6th right now in total defense. Does that mean much with who they've played? Not really, but I know I can trust Kyle Whittingham when he brings the defense to town. Straight up, this is going to be a really good team. Micah Bernard's really been the better running back of these two teams. The running back for Utah, he's been really, really good for them. He's been helping out the Wilson kid who's been replacing Cam Rising during this injury. And they were up like Utah was up 65-0. I think before Rising went out in those first 2 games, and they were humming. And I kind of like where they pick up where they left off with Rising on Saturday. I don't really care. I don't even know if it's his throwing hand with this finger injury. It doesn't really matter to me. This doesn't sway me from my pick whatsoever.
The key to this game in my mind is the trenches on both sides. I think if you're Utah on the defensive side of the ball, you got to make an impact up front. Get to Bowman. The offensive line at Oklahoma State's one of the best in America, definitely one of the best in the Big 12. But they also have to take a step forward and open up some holes for Ollie Gordon. Jake just told you, but Ollie Gordon has not been the Ollie Gordon of late. He just hasn't been. This is the game that he really needs to open things up so they can get some stuff going on the ground, open it up for Bowman. But this is a really good test for Utah's defensive front. And on the other side, if you're Oklahoma State, put emphasis on getting Cam Rising. If you're Utah, you have to keep emphasis on keeping him upright, especially in the situation that he's in, because you saw how bad that offense can be if he goes down and he's not in the game. So that the trenches battle is where this game is going to be won. Obviously, that's what you can say about most games if the quarterback's getting sacked all the time. But I really think it's important to keep Cam Rising upright for Utah to win in this spot, a tough spot on the road. JP.
Yeah, I'm in the same thing. Like I talked about this game and picked Utah to win the conference preseason, and this is a reason why, because I think they'd be more ready for this game right here, and they're a better equipped team all the way around. I'm also not one to throw money on Alan Bowman, saying that he's going to just go beat somebody and win a football game for you. And I don't think this is the spot that he's going to do it either. This might be one of those that's like people in Stillwater are kind of over it. They're like, all right, turn the damn page already. We got somebody in waiting, and maybe we just need to get to the next year. But if we can't run the ball, we can't play football in Stillywood, if I'm being honest with you. That's just what it feels like. I'm not saying Utah's going to come in there and throttle them because I don't think that's this kind of game. And I think Gundy understands that and has found a way to make a winner out of just about anything in his time down there. So I like Whittingham. I like Gundy, 2 of the better coaches in the Big 12. I like Cam Rising in that defense a lot more. Just a team that's better and understanding the fight they're getting into. Not one that's been great on the road, but one that understands that this is a little bit of a different situation. So, with a line at 2, like he doesn't, what are you going to, I mean, you pick the team to win, you might as well take the 2 kind of thing anyway. So it's going to be one of those games that's going to be, you really want to pay attention to because it's going to tell you a lot about the Big 12. But I think it'll tell you a lot more about the team that loses this than the team that wins it. If I'm being honest, like you're gonna be like, that there's too many things that are happening here that we're worried about. Like,
yeah, I can see that
edge.
like a red flag from this loss. Like you'll be like, oh, that's where they really struggle because these are two teams.
This is worse than we thought, kind of thing.
Yep, and obviously Gundy's squad had a big comeback win over Arkansas a few weeks ago. They started off slow. I think them getting off to a quicker start against an opponent like this in conference,
that's terrifying.
Vital,
by the way.
Yeah,
what Taylor Green was able to do most of that day scares me.
Yep,
because that's not a guy. If you make that guy beat you, he will beat himself, and he found a way to just look.
He stole my money last week. UAB.
So
we can't hang 100 on UAB.
You were a week late.
Yeah, apparently that was.
I don't know if you can throw shots at people stealing your money. You kind of give it out quite a few times too. So let's just throw that out there.
But all right, let's get out of ULM Kentucky.
Round table style picks. Jake, I don't want to ruin your show, but give us a pick. Who wins? Who covers?
Yeah, no, you guys will. I explained this pretty well on the show, but I'll just take it right now. Utah for me. I go into more detail because of it. If we're gonna do a score, I mean, Parks, you had 45-20 in that Oklahoma-Tennessee game. I'm kind of right there. I'll go 35-20 or 34-20 Utes here. So
low Mike Gundry hatred there, or maybe it's just incredible belief in Utah.
Hey, listen. Just because I pick against somebody doesn't mean I hate them. You think I hate Oklahoma?
45-21 at home is
no. 34.
Okay, 34-20.
They won by 2 scores.
All right, 2 scores and it's a little disrespectful. Still throwing that out there. JP, your pick in this matchup and score.
I'm staying on the Utah pick here that I had preseason with how comfortable I am with this team. I'll go 31-21 Utes.
Guys, I just realized this as I've given this play. I have all of the road teams covering.
Yeah,
nice. There you go.
No home field advantage. That's tough, Jake. But let me save everybody on the ATS board. Give me the Pokes at home. I'm going to spoil it anyway, but this is my dog's dog. I like Oklahoma State plus the 2, and I think they win the game. I think this is Gundy's year. I'm going to stay with it. I've said that early in the year before the season. I think he can get it done this year. Cam Rising being kind of on the edge of I don't want to say he's not healthy, but he's obviously got some things lingering.
Let's
he's
be honest.
55. He's 55 years old. I wouldn't be healthy if I was playing college football either. I think Oklahoma State can do enough, force some turnovers at home, and sneak away with a win here. I like them in this spot. I'm going to trust Gundy. So give me Oklahoma State to win the son of a bitch outright. I'll say 31-27. I think they have enough offensive firepower to get up 31, but that is my pick. All right. That's everything for previews game by game. Let's go back and let's talk betting segments. Let's lead it off with the dog's dog. But before we do that, I'm not going to forget this week. JP, tell the people our G5 game of the week.
There's a game in Louisiana you might have heard about. A couple teams that traditionally, it feels like in the last 5 years prior to Mr. Napier getting hired to Florida, better teams within the G5. Tulane and Louisiana, Raging Cajuns, Green Wave. Great name, great uniforms, great state of Louisiana going at it here. I think Louisiana getting their footing again. Maybe if you're going to go back to their winning ways in the Sun Belt, and Tulane, like you're just begging for a win after those 2 weeks of hell you just got put through.
Yep.
So I think Tulane's still a really good shot to be a G5 rep. 2 losses makes that tough, but I think it's a team that could win the American later down the road. Louisiana, again, proud program, really happy with where they've been, and I think they feel like they made the right hire and they're moving in the right direction. So definitely one you want to tune into. I feel like will be a lot better than what people are expecting.
Tulane is very thirsty for that win. I do think Tulane, if you're a Tulane fan, you're also now both rooting for Kansas State and Oklahoma. Obviously, Oklahoma beat you by a little bit, but losing at home to Kansas State, if they go on a run in the Big 12, then you finally find yourself in a spot towards the end of the year where you're like, hey, we're 10-2. You got to get it off to a good start here. Jake, any thoughts on the G5 game? Initial thought?
It's more so like, is Louisiana going to be that dark horse team in the Sun Belt this year? I thought they underperformed last year. And on the Tulane side, like JP said, you got to bounce back after just a rough 2-week stretch. You came out of it healthy for the most part, I think. So that was a big thing. Could you have wanted to steal one of those? Absolutely. You had a chance to, especially against Kansas State. But Now it's time to get off the mat. This is a tough non-con that they've had, and they got to get out of this alive on the road once again. It's a good test for, I still think, a good Tulane team.
Look for Mekhi Hughes, 3 scores. I'm just calling it now. Just a bold prediction. That's my G5 game of the week prediction. All right, that is the G5 game of the week. Let's lead it off this week with the Dog's Dog. I think we've been getting killed in this besides Reese. Reese, 3 straight winners in the Dog's Dog.
I haven't lost. Come on. That's why I wanted an update on this.
Yeah, we gotta track it back.
I had Northern Illinois against Notre Dame, damn it. Like that's
the number, not
winner of the year.
I promise you I did not win last week. I'm not going to give any initial comments on
I don't think I had an outright winner yet.
What hat are you wearing there, Parks?
I am for sure wearing the team that I chose.
I'm surprised you can wear that with some pride this week.
Listen, we felt good. I'm always wearing it with pride. Still a head coach there. But I'm always wearing it with pride. It was 10-7 mid first quarter. Then I get in the car to drive to Lincoln.
Close.
It was
then they
very
the ball
close.
off.
No. I was in the car in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Nebraska, driving to Lincoln. I look down and it's 45-7. It's not even halftime. I go, what happened? It was 10-7.
To be fair, is there really bumfuck Nebraska between
I was just going to say the same
Omaha?
thing.
No,
I was going to say the same thing.
Whoa, you got some nice little towns in there.
You said bumfuck.
Yeah, you're the one
you're
the one trashing on them.
Yeah, but where I was at the moment was very, very.
I bet you it's so normal.
They took an exit. They took an exit too early, and they ended up down south somewhere.
It's literally, I don't even know. It starts with an S. I'd never even heard of it. I'd asked somebody. I was like, "Where are we?" I don't know. We take like these back roads through a few small towns to get there and avoid traffic. It's a whole thing, Rex. Leave it alone. All right, that is the Dog's Dog is we're recapping it. We'll get those records out there, but we do not know them off the top of our head. Reese has 3 straight winners. He did not include his pick, so hopefully he can text us and we can tweet him out or something. But all right, Jake, give us your pick. Dog's Dog for week 4 of college football.
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth on a lot of this. You said yours was Oklahoma State, correct?
Correct.
All right, then I'm going to take it. Give me, because I thought you had this one. I'm going to take Bowling Green plus the 23.
That's a great
going
game.
to Kyle Field. I've been picking these.
I texted that early this week. I said, this is disrespectful again.
I stared at Arkansas plus 3, but what's won me these games? I had UTEP plus 23. I had Northern Illinois plus 28, and I cannot remember my first week, but I know it was another big, huge spread.
I just know I won.
Yeah, and then I know I was 3-0 going into that. So no, it was I remember now. It was Stanford plus like 10 against TCU. So I'm going to stick with the double-digit underdogs here. Give me the BG Falcons.
I like that pick. That 22 is disrespectful. That team just proved you wrong as a 30-point underdog, Vegas. I mean, learn a little bit from our mistakes. JP, give us your Dog's Dog.
Yeah, I'll bite on this number. I did it last week taking the home team. I'm going to take the road team here, though. I'll bite. I was high on the team in the preseason. One looks like they are just reeling to death. Give me Cal. I don't know what the deal is here, but this 2.5
big week for Cal.
They're underdogs still?
2 points. Yes. It's literally I like Cal. I liked in the preseason. I said they're going to have a chance to win 7-8 games if they get everything goes right. They're looking the part. The Twitter is popping right now. I was
going to say, are you guys on the Cal algorithm?
Cal Twitter is while is very much diabolical to other people. It is funny.
It's wild.
Please get it right. It's the algorithm. Want to pay homage.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Florida State, you aren't getting a cakewalk. You're getting a way confident team walking in there, ready to play football. And the defense has been better than we thought it would. We thought that'd be the sore thumb. Not been the case. They played good defense, and they beat Auburn. This team is better than you think they are, and they will beat you if you're not paying attention. Florida State, I don't think is paying attention enough.
Oh my God.
On another note, nobody ever said that Florida State Stadium was going to be like 25% less empty to start the year with these construction.
I think
construction going on.
It just wasn't that big of a deal.
I mean, it's definitely not a big deal now.
It looks empty as hell on TV. I think it looks terrible. Now I know
that's from the construction, Jake.
Yeah.
No, it's they cannot. There's legitimately a section they can't sit in. That's
what they're saying.
There's not just spots. No, Parks.
I know, but I heard the AD watch practice.
It is because
you know what? Do it this year.
The renovating. What's that, Parks?
I said the AD probably watched practice and said, you know what? Do it now. Middle of the season.
No, I think Parks was implying that the seats are empty just because they suck, not
That
because
is
of the
true.
construction. That's what he was
They might have
implying.
just put up
Oh.
ticker tape to make it look like construction. I'm not lying.
Like that Boston
Yeah.
College game was sold out, and there's just this strip of like 25,000 less seats. And I was like,
Mhm.
what? Like, whoa, nobody told me about this going into the year. Not that it matters, because again, their offense is worse than a home field advantage, but it was just alarming on TV.
All right, there is the dog's dog. Let's move on to our final segment of tonight's show, and that is our picks of the week. I'm going to go to JP first. JP, give us your pick, the lock of all locks.
This number moved 2 points in the last day, and I don't love that. I wanted the under 59 in Tennessee, Oklahoma. It's at 57 now. I still think I'm fine with it. I'll take under 57 or under 58, whatever you're seeing at this point in time in this game. I just think it goes slower.
On the contrary to you, and it's probably not on the contrary because we can both win, and that sounds good to me. But you can probably guess by my score prediction of 45-21 what pick I'm going to take. Give me Tennessee minus the 7 on the road. I do not know if I've seen enough consistency out of Oklahoma's offense yet to stay with the offensive consistency that we've seen from Tennessee. It's going to be a big matchup. I don't think Norman's enough for this firepower of Heupel's squad and schemes. So I love Tennessee to at least cover that number 7. Tennessee minus 7. Jake.
Because I
brutal time. We're getting every other word. Give it a second, but brutal timing for this. We need your pick of the week because you're rolling. So now go.
I was gonna say, I said that I feel like I'm shortening the list on this because I mean it was Tennessee, and I think Tennessee's an easy cover, but Jordan has the under. You already got Tennessee, so I feel like I got to give them something else.
We can go hand in hand.
I mean, no, that's great, but I feel like the listeners are like, they got on this show to listen to multiple picks. They don't want just one game. We got to throw.
I don't think
something.
they're taking our gambling advice. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't know. Our records are not great. Although I did cook a little last week.
Yeah, I did take Clemson Sunday night at 15.5. It's now up to 20.5 against NC State, but that's unfortunately that's all I got. Can I? For my Iowa State fans, can I confidently say, like, I think Iowa State covers this weekend? Like, I'm being honest. I know this
for disaster.
This kind of sounds like a flashback to last year against Ohio, right? But like, there's just completely different aspects in this game that I think Iowa State is just going to have a much better matchup with this Arkansas State team compared to that pretty solid Ohio G5 team last year.
How many picks does Jalen Raynor throw?
See, well, as I highlighted, I don't know if he's going to play all 4 quarters. Like Timmy McClain got in the last quarter against Michigan.
He was good last year for UCF.
Yeah, and he had 2 touchdowns. So I don't know if Raynor's going to be on a short leash or not. I am fascinated to watch that because, yeah, I do think Raynor has the ability to probably throw a couple of picks. I think he's kind of a disaster at this point. Honestly, I didn't give it out as a dog's dog. Really eyeing it. I think Arkansas can get it done on the road this week against Auburn.
Could you guys hear that? Sorry, I don't mean to cut the professional off, but could you guys hear that jar opening? I just got the jar slid through the door from the wife, and I had to open a jar and then pass it back.
I did hear something. I heard something faint, but if you wouldn't have said it, I wouldn't have.
Okay,
I wouldn't have.
Go ahead, Jake.
I wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't said anything.
You said Arkansas.
All right. Yeah. Am I going to let Sam Pittman bite me in the ass one more time? Sure. I think so. I really think so. This is more of a must win for Arkansas than Auburn, right? Like, can we agree?
I mean,
on that?
One job's on the line, the other one they spent no money, knowing next year to be better.
Yeah, and they're waiting for next year exactly, and they're they can blame it on we're going through a quarterback change with Hank Brown and Peyton Thorne. So
they love that fight.
Yeah, you lost me money last week, Arkansas. I'm giving you one more shot. You've got to come out and take care of business. Maybe you were just focused on this game. You were sleeping on the UAB game. Maybe that's what happened. We'll find out. So big one for Sam Pittman.
Watch out, Miami. Things get weird in Tampa.
Yeah, that is. I was gonna say 16.5 USF. I like how Miami is traveling to USF too, not the Tampa boys going down to Miami. I think that's That's really interesting. Is there any other games? I feel like we're
Rutgers.
cutting it a little short. Really?
We're at
Rutgers
the same time
BT.
frame.
Well, we're at an hour, so I was like, let's just hang out and
There's a
chit
lot of
chat
fun
a
on
little
it.
bit.
Why majority of my life is trimming and cutting Jake's videos and trying to get them to upload it is because this kid thinks an hour is just like, come on,
I like
man.
chatting. I
Yeah,
like chatting.
last
we're just
one-
talking ball. I don't hate it, but go ahead.
Last one I'll
JP.
mention: Rutgers, Virginia.
Rutgers, Virginia Tech, just because
Because
Virginia
I
Tech
think a
must
lot of people
win.
are looking at Rutgers. A lot of people are looking at Rutgers like, hey, this team could win 8 games with this schedule. They go
Yeah.
in Lane Stadium and win it. I mean, we're feeling different about Rutgers, and then you're looking at Virginia Tech like you're just a bunch of liars and fakers. Everybody bought into returning production.
Ooh.
hand up. Did we make this mistake of our G5 game of the week? East Carolina
I don't know.
going to Liberty.
I mean,
So
if you're going to
Liberty
argue
gets no
that,
respect from me.
and App State also beat East Carolina, so
I
App State
know.
beat-
East Carolina had them down to the wire though. The way Liberty's been playing,
I'm boycotting Liberty till they don't have the worst schedule in the country. So
Yes, I can't
Yeah.
wait to get into that argument in December.
We just
We're
talked about
arguing
Liberty too.
G5.
They're mediocre, which means worst
True.
of the worst of the worst. We
That's
just
how
had
it
that
is.
conversation. But another one we got to throw out there if we're mentioning games that could become interesting is Notre Dame's hosting another pretty decent
Yeah.
G5 team in Miami of Ohio, who's 0-2. Granted, they
I would
won the
say-
MAC last year. A lot of them picked to repeat it, but this is a
Yep.
weird little sneaky spot here after Notre Dame puts up 100,000 points against Purdue.
I liked that game, but after watching a little bit of Miami, Ohio last week against Cincinnati,
They look
like
different.
the team that they don't tackle well. I just Northern Illinois looks much better than them, but who knows? Marcus Freeman just loves to sleep at the wheel and just for some reason think they can just walk through this game, even though they don't have a quarterback who can throw a touchdown pass.
I'm very happy
But-
with my MAC picks here. To
And
start
then
the
last-
year in NIU and BG.
Can we throw this out there just in case it happens? Then we can clip this part of the show and post it like we knew it all along. But do not be shocked if Bowling Green outright wins in Texas A&M.
I'm scared. I'm scared they had their one run at somebody and that's it.
I'm scared that they actually found a quarterback in the Reed kid, Texas A&M. That's my concern.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah, the
Florida's
Wegman
bad,
hate
we
is
know.
flying too, man.
I know that's what I'm saying, and I think Wegman might be back. Last one, I promise. We should do a segment from here on out. Dumpster fire game of the week. I've got one for you guys.
Tell
Okay,
us. I like that.
Kansas on the road at West Virginia. I highlighted this in our Big 12 show. These fan bases, one of them's jumping off the ledge if they lose this game. Like one of them is whoever loses this game, that fan base is jumping off the ledge. Kansas Twitter was
What about
just,
Florida, Mississippi State?
That's dumpster fire game of the week. I was about to say that.
But
Jordan,
has
thank
it-
God you said it.
But hasn't both of those schools just basically given up? Like when you say on the year,
When
like
you call it a dumpster fire?
Yeah,
No,
both
like,
of them
this
are
is-
absolute dumpster fires. That is
Yes.
the perfect dumpster fire game of the week.
That's true. I was more so thinking like the loser of this game, the fan bases are just they're just gonna lose it. Like it's it. This is it for them. I think Kansas and West Virginia fans, especially in the
Mhm.
Big 12 conference, there's still a sliver of hope. They haven't lost a conference game yet, technically. Like if they just win this game, maybe they can get back on track and compete for a conference title. The other loses, and they're like, fire our staff, fire our quarterback's terrible.
You think Reese laid the 49 with Penn State?
If he doesn't,
It's
I
a
will.
possibility. Yeah, it's a
If he
possibility.
doesn't, I will.
I think a fun Big 12 one, maybe it's a learn a lot spot here is I think we haven't really gotten a clear answer on either Arizona State or Texas Tech.
Yep.
That's a fun one to open Big 12 play for Arizona State.
I think I said it on the show. I said one team has been a complete surprise, and the other one has been a complete disappointment. But both this game means so much to both of them going forward the rest of the year.
But Texas Tech did beat a very good North Texas team. Let me put that out there. Yeah, the old hand signals from up top. I'm going to throw that out. They beat a very good North Texas team very handily. So we'll just throw that out there. You could also throw dumpster fire game of the week with UTEP and Colorado State. Your boys over in Fort. I mean,
That
Fort
game's so irrelevant. That
No
team.
Torrey Horton.
I did finally hear somebody say fire Jay Norvell on Twitter or YouTube or I don't know wherever I was, and I was like, I'm glad somebody's
Fire
jumping on the
Nicolosi.
caboose.
What is that guy?
yeah.
Get that guy out
I
of there.
told you guys.
All right,
told you.
let's end it with a opinionated question, kind
Everybody
of
say
on the fun
something
side
nice
of
about
college
somebody in
football.
college football.
No, we don't need to do that. We like the opposite. What do you guys think on Shedeur Sanders like saying that after the game? Do you think that's good or bad?
Yeah.
I think it's
Oh, fuck
fine.
that guy.
I mean,
I was
would've
all
said the same
I was
thing.
all for it.
yeah, me too.
Right?
Okay, we're on the same. I didn't see that bad
I
part of
would've
that. I
said the
mean, that
same
did
thing.
ran
The
his
guy
mouth.
Yeah.
He did say we
Because-
should have murdered them. That's. I
But
mean, you
then
can't say that.
He was just downplaying everything that Shedeur did to him last year. Like he didn't earn it. It's
Yep.
like he literally ripped you to shreds. He ripped a lot of defenses to shreds last year. And then like just to be that guy and like I don't know, it's a hell of a way to act.
I just
knowing,
it was
like,
what was in the water that day in Fort Collins for them to both sit down in that interview, talk about how they both got offered $600,000 to go somewhere else, act like they didn't take it, stayed at Colorado State, and then to get dirt wiped by Colorado. It's
I
just
feel like
terrible,
somebody
terrible.
definitely would have thrown the money at Horton. Somebody threw money at him.
And
I just
at
don't know
Horton,
who.
maybe. Yeah, we believe Horton. Fowler
No.
Nicolosi, no way. And in Parks, it's because
Do
it's
we really?
August.
Can we really? Is there somebody out there turning down $600,000 to stay at Colorado State? Can we actually say
Maybe.
that is believable?
He
That
fits the
sounds like
scheme
the
perfect. He's the
drummer
focal
video,
point.
like the dude who got offered $2 million to drum in college for 10 years. That video. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I think, and this sounds, biased, but like, I think a lot of Iowa State players last season got offered like good SEC money. And you could say the same thing. Why would you stay at Iowa State and not play in the SEC? Well,
Or comparing
They're
Iowa
not
State to Colorado State now.
Colorado State,
G5.
State to a Power 4 or a low Power 4 or whatever. It's just like maybe like you're not guaranteed if Horton takes the money, he's not guaranteed to be the number one receiver wherever he went. Like
No.
this is he's already going to be an NFL prospect. He stays at Colorado State, he racks up his yards, hopefully he gets healthy again and then he makes his money there. Like it's not, I think some people are starting to realize that college NIL offers are not like, that's not where you're going to make your real money if you're a legit prospect.
Should never taken this long to figure that out, but I
Yeah.
understand the rush to make the money.
Let's close it out
Can I
with
go?
give one thing,
was
and then
gonna
I
go
want to
back-
close it out with a JP question.
Well, I was
Who's
going to
the
go back
eighth
to
one?
the Shedeur thing. Well, we were on
Okay.
topic and it was great. He did pay respect to like the rest of them after he said, F off to
They
Nicolosi.
pay respect
Like,
like he just put him 6 feet
well,
under.
he said he shook hands with the rest of the dudes, said good game and all that kind of stuff. But like Nicolosi stuck his hand out and he's like, no, like I'm done with you, bro. And Nicolosi had nothing to say. He was just like,
What can
Oh,
you say?
keep
You guys
talking.
dumb it at
He said,
home
keep talking.
against the rival.
It's like, bro, you were
Yeah.
the one talking. I don't get that. When he said keep talking, it was like, no, you were talking. He's responding. That's I
right.
don't get that. I was also just happy to see Shedeur out there for the handshake line. So good for him. All right, JP, I want to ask you, Florida Rosedale this weekend, looking to get back at a team that felt like they stole a win from you. We haven't gotten your preview yet. Give us a little something. Minnesota Iowa rivalry game.
I just feel like we're a way better football team. I'm not impressed with anything Minnesota's done, but that is
I mean,
not
you shouldn't
how
be.
this game
Brosmer's
ever
look
plays out.
Yeah.
That's just not ever how this game plays out. So it's like there should be no reason you're scared to go play in Minneapolis at that average stadium that is never really. I mean, it's not intimidating. Let's be honest.
No.
Like it's a
No.
pro sports
No, I agree.
town. It's a pro sports state, and
It's a
a
state that
football
wins-
program that's not
literally
very good,
wins
it's on the
nothing ever.
decline. Yeah. So like
It's a football. Yeah.
I mean, truly, like, let's just go be Iowa. Let's go beat this team that we're clearly better than. You were better than last year. It's a program that shouldn't hold a candle to you. Just go take care of business. And then the numbers at one, somebody sees something I don't. I guess I'm a little too far.
I'm seeing live 2.5 right now, so it is moving in your favor.
Yeah.
Live 2.5 Iowa right now is what I'm seeing.
I just
Over under,
feel
you want to take a
so much
guess,
better.
JP?
Over under, I think it's like
Yes.
36.
35 and a
Does-
half.
does the nightcap not scare you a little bit? Little night game in Minneapolis kind of seems a little trappy. A little trappy.
Mm.
What entails
He's
a
trying to
trap?
fuel
That
a
we
little
played like
nerve.
shit 2 weeks in a row. Like,
Well,
a trap
you-
would it'd say like we've been
trap would
playing so
entail-
well, we can overlooking them. You can't overlook a team
Yes,
that
but
beat you last year, and you've already lost the game this year.
Fair point. But you were just saying that you guys are much better than this team.
I feel like we
and
are.
You do
I
have
feel like we're way more
Ohio
talented.
State on the schedule next, so
We got to buy
that's
though.
maybe. I know. I know. I don't know.
I
was
just
trying
feel like
just
we're
trying to stir the
much-
pot a little bit.
I'm
I feel
still
like we're
just
a much
waiting
better
for Kirk to
football team.
wake up. I'm still just waiting for him to wake up and say Brendan Sullivan's a starter. Then all of a sudden, a lot of things become easier and better.
I just
I
don't think
really,
this Minnesota team's good.
that's fair. Brosmer has not looked good. I mean, they got that
Their
running back
defense
back
isn't
right.
what they
Darius
used to
Taylor,
be. They'll be
what's the name?
fine. The running backs are okay. They still have good receivers.
Yep. What's
Mac, that's all I got
What's
for him.
that one receiver? Jackson? God damn it, I can't think
Yeah.
of his first name.
Daniel Jackson.
Daniel Jackson. Thank you. Good pull, Jake. But he's elite receiver. But I don't think
Big Ten
Brosmer's
guy.
enough against this. I think Brosmer throws 3 picks. I really think Iowa's fine in this matchup.
I
And
could
they'll
see that,
cover the
yeah.
number easily. But all right, that is tonight's show, the Week 4 preview. If you stuck around all the way to this point, let me ask you a favor quick. Comment down below. Say something. Tell us your favorite parts of our show. I like the previews. I like the dog. I like the betting segment. Let us know what you like so we can produce more of it. That's what we want to do here. You're here. We appreciate you being here. JP, what code can they use at No Rivals for free shipping?
PTFS.
That's all it is. All you got to do is PTFS and you get free shipping on us. You're welcome for that. Jake, what should they do to all of our videos and our channel on YouTube?
Of course, like, comment, and subscribe, please.
Do all of those things. We appreciate you being here. We'll see you for the Week 4 recap on Sunday morning. Jake, take us away.
New mic, boys, but same saying.
It
We got to
worked.
play it.